a huge thing is them offering new, but new in a good fashion. Because a lot of times they do something that's too much out of their reach, something that's just not like what they've already offered, and people don't like it, or they don't do enough of it and people say it's the same thing. Welcome back, everybody, for Beers and Boss Battles. Today, we figured we take a different approach. We're just going to kind of go through some current events. We're going to take a look at our phone and kind of just see what's there, and we'll talk about that. But definitely something that popped up to both of us that we thought would be worth talking about was what's going on with The Last of Us Part 2. So it seems like there's a lot of negative feedback on some of the spoilers and with a feature that I guess is killing dogs, and it doesn't seem like that's getting very good reception either.
And then also the copyright strikes. So some YouTubers and different people are getting copyright stricken on YouTube, over posting stuff about these leaks. And it's not even stuff that they're posting is, leaked stuff. It could be them just simply talking about it and them getting a copyright strike. So I've been hearing about that in the YouTube community a lot. And Sony and Naughty Dog are kind of getting a lot of backlash for that. So that'll be another thing to talk about.
So, well, I guess while we're on the subject, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I know you were kind of giving me like some brief insight into like what was happening, but like, so how exactly did this pop off? Like, it was like leaks, and then they got
all right.
mad,
So I'm not going to say this is just off the top of my head from what I've learned from the few articles and videos that I've seen about it. I'm not going to give any spoilers away. So if anybody's worried about me giving away spoilers, we're not going to give away any spoilers. We're just going to talk about the leaks themselves. We're just going to talk about that there are leaks. We're not going to get into what they are. But pretty much what I heard is that there was disgruntled employees at Naughty Dog that were promised bonuses and they never got those bonuses. And either one or more of those employees are the ones who leaked all of this stuff. So that was the first thing I heard. I also one of the videos I was watching kind of explained that these bonuses, it's not just like a bonus. Like this is money that they need. Like this is actually probably where they make more of their money. Like their annual salary would be less than what their bonuses are. So they're putting in all these crazy hours, working overtime to put this game out, and they're promised these bonuses, promised these things. And then apparently some people got bonuses and some people didn't. I don't know. This could all just be rumor, but this is what I heard why there were leaks to begin with. And pretty much what the leaks are is they're leaking the story for the new Last of Us 2. So it's leaking stuff about characters and stuff about the story. Again, I'm not going to spoil them, but a lot of fans are very upset about what they're hearing, what these leaks are going to be. So there's that. That's one of the controversies about it, is that a lot of these people are very upset with the direction that the Naughty Dog has taken with the development of the game and what they've chosen to do with the story. So that's part of it. And then another element is like the YouTube community right now. I've been seeing a bunch of YouTubers that were even just talking about this were getting copyright stricken by Naughty Dog and Sony. So pretty much this wasn't allowing them to post new videos, or it wasn't allowing them to live stream, which is a big part of how they can make money. So there was a big part of the community getting upset at them for their dealing with these leaks. I've even seen some people complaining that they're upset about them disabling comments and stuff like that on the videos. I'm kind of okay with that. I get that. Like if you're a Naughty Dog, you put all this time, hours, endless hours and years of development into this game. And now all in the comment section, it's a bunch of people like just putting spoilers up, spoiling the game for a bunch of people who don't want to know the spoilers. Like myself, I didn't want to know what the spoilers were, and I tried my best to stay away from what the spoilers were, but eventually, accidentally, I stumbled on the spoilers. So this is what Sony's worried about, and this is why I think they're disabling comments, which I think protects the people that are interested in the game. There's other people that would argue you want to know what these spoilers are because they're so bad, you're not going to want to buy The Last of Us if you hear them. And like, we don't think you should buy The Last of Us 2. So there's different camps, but my camp is spoilers are not good. And unless you want to know what the spoilers are, you shouldn't be forced to find out what these spoilers are. I think even myself, after hearing the spoilers, I'm not going to say I'm 100%, but I'm still probably going to get the game. I'm still going to be interested in the gameplay, the story. I mean, from what I heard, I definitely did not like. But at the same time, I still have been waiting for this game for so long, and I know how much effort and time and work they put into it, so I'm still probably going to get it. But there's that whole element that people are upset about the comments being disabled. I mean, I think that's fair. I think it shouldn't, for someone who hasn't been spoiled yet, they shouldn't have to see that in the comments, because that's what all the comments are going to be. So it makes sense that they're disabling it.
Yeah,
but
but
yeah, that's
don't you think like there's it's kind of half and half with that whole spoil thing, right? So what I mean by that is, uh,
keep
yes,
going. I'm listening.
yes, in a way, it's it can be bad because obviously for the people that don't want to know, and then like you said, just kind of having it thrown at you, that's unfair because that takes away a lot of the experience for people. Personally, for me, I've always been on the side of like I don't really care about the spoilers. That doesn't really bother me. I feel like you're so exposed to them already. It's almost impossible to get past that. And once the game does drop, whether there were leaks or not, there are going to be people that are burning through the game and putting out content and making sure that people know what's going on. Some people are a little bit more considerate in that way, and that they won't just throw things out there. They won't impose it on people. And I don't think that it should be imposed, but I do think it should be there because, like you said, there is the other half of it where it's like if you don't know anything about the game and maybe you want to have some of that insight and kind of see what's going on in the game, and whether that's through the story or the multiplayer features, whatever, being able to see that prior to buying the game is obviously really important, which is why they drop trailers, they drop demos. My thoughts as far as the YouTube thing, I think that's kind of silly, right? Because I get that they're trying to protect the content, they're trying to protect their product because, like you said, I mean, they've been working on this for long enough, and obviously it's a big project. It's something that they're looking forward to doing. Sony's been pushing this. It's a big title to begin with, the first part. But I think the way that they're going about it is wrong. I think trying to copyright strike people on YouTube is, I mean,
Yeah,
one, with
no,
the way
I
you're,
agree with you on that. I think that's really bad.
well, why would you be targeting them and not the people that are doing these leaks? Like, I don't know if they are or they
I
aren't,
think
but
they
I'm
were
saying,
kind of just blanket throwing them all into one. And like, think about it from
I
Sony's
thought,
perspective. Like, they just wanted to contain the leak as much as they could, but you're never gonna. All you did was draw more attention to it, and now more people know about the leak than they would have otherwise. So it was obviously a bonehead move that backfired.
yeah, no,
I'm
that's what I
saying,
mean. Like,
yeah,
it's just backwards thinking. Like, you're not going to be able to prevent this leak from coming out. Obviously, like you said, I mean, once it's out, it's out, and people are going to find a way to get their hands on it and be able to see it and check it out. Regardless, if you take every measure you can, that's just how the internet is, man. Once it's out there for good.
yeah. And
Um,
if you try to stop it, you're all you do is draw more attention to it. So you would think for someone in there would have been like, no, this is not the move. But yeah, so just for the record, I'm saying I understand why they're disabled comments to try to protect people who don't want spoilers. I'm not saying that I agree with the copyright strikes at all. I think it's literally ridiculous, and I think it's pretty pathetic of Sony to try to do that as well. So just for the record, yeah, where I stand on the whole thing is from what I heard from these spoilers, I'm not happy with what they did with the game in terms of story. I'm definitely not into that. I'm not into the way they've reacted with it, with the copyright strikes and hurting YouTubers that weren't even putting anything about the leaks except for maybe talking about the leaks and using like old E3 footage from last year. But they were getting thrown in and they were having their videos removed or copyright stricken, which is just bullcrap. So for the record, I think that's awful. What I was saying is just on the comment thing. I get why they're doing it. I'm not even going to say that they should do it. I'm not going to say that that was the right move either. I'm just saying I get it.
Yeah, no, and I can understand that as well. I mean, you don't want people to put it out there. It makes the exposure that much more prevalent, obviously. But so actually, another thing I was reading on my phone just before was that they have this. I kind of brought it up. They have a feature with like you kill dogs.
That's another
It does
thing.
seem
Yeah.
like that's gotten a lot of negative feedback. That's not something people are into, and I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with that one. I feel like if you're able to kill humans, it's I don't really see the difference there. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think more of
maybe,
what the
but
controversy was is GameStop put it in there as like a game feature, so like a selling game feature. Like they put
yeah,
it in there. I don't know. I don't know if it's still up on their website, but I know one YouTuber that I was watching Shout out to him, the Quartering. That's his YouTube channel, and I know he was talking about it. And I think on their website they had a description of killing these dogs, and they almost made it sound like it was a selling feature of the game. Like you get to kill these dogs that like are individual dogs with their own names, and they have individual owners who will react to the dog missing. And they were, kind of hyping it up and selling it as like, oh yeah, you're going to want to play this to do this. And Naughty Dog wasn't behind the messaging that they put in there as a feature. So I know that was part of the
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I was reading that, it seemed the way that the article described it was that Naughty Dog was not on board with it at all. Like, obviously they're okay with the feature. That's not the point. It's the way that they marketed that. Like, they sold that as this is a reason why you should buy the game. And I said, I mean, I'm gonna reiterate, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do with having a feature to kill dogs. I'm not saying I support it per se. I'm just saying I don't see the difference if you're able to kill people. Then it's kind of more or less the same, the same thing. But
yeah, I mean, to me that makes no sense. Like you're playing this brutally violent game. I mean, the first one is so violent. I mean, you're killing people with knives and stabbing them in the neck and blowing them apart with guns and throwing explosives at them. And I mean, it's like the super graphic, violent game, which I'm sure is going to be even more violent in the second game. And you're getting upset about killing a dog. It's like, that makes no sense to me. Plus, Naughty Dog did say that there is an option to avoid the dogs, so you don't even have to kill them. So for those people, do that. Don't kill the dogs, and you'll be happy. But yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense to me that you're fine with like killing people in these horribly, violent ways, and you're upset about killing a dog. That's kind of backwards to me. But
yeah, like I'm just that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm like, it's not like a move I'm like supportive of, but I'm also just kind of I'm indifferent. It's there, it's cool, but I definitely don't support the idea that they're going to market it. I just feel like that's also a weird angle. Like, why would you, like, I mean, unless you're a psycho, no one's going to like pick up the game and be like, wow, I can kill dogs. I'm going to buy this.
Yeah. Like who at GameStop is like, yeah, let's type it. We got to sell it. This is going to help sell this game. We're going to put this as a description. I think that has more to do with GameStop than it does Naughty Dog, honestly. But so that's some of the stuff that's been going on with all that. By the way, I'm drinking a Saranac Backpacker Pils. So it's a Pilsner lager. I bought
I want a beer so bad, man. I gotta get some beer.
Summer variety pack. Yeah, man. I'm sorry. What, you went through all of it yesterday, or?
What did I think I had like one.
So you just kind of didn't have beer.
Or no, actually, no. At that point, I had White Claw. That was like literally everything. That was the only thing in my fridge other than ginger ale. And I didn't really want to get into liquor because I've already told you, liquor is
man.
That's a rough one for me. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't have anything, and then today I've just been so lazy. I got into that game Paladins, and it's been out for a very long time, mind you. It's been out since 2015. I'd seen things for it, but I never knew anything about it. I'd never really seen anybody post, well, at least anybody that I'm following on social media post anything about it where it caught my interest or I've literally seen next to nothing for it other than just like little ads and trailers.
I didn't even know about it.
Yeah. And so, but now that I'm playing it, I gotta be honest, that game caught me in a loop. The second I started playing that game, I got into my first multiplayer match. Immediately, if you played Overwatch before, you get thrown right back into that. It's the same exact feel, same style of art. A lot of the HUD things there, it's very much like it, except I'd say it's even more unique in the way that every character is designed. I think it's a little bit better in mobility, because that was a big issue for me in Overwatch. You spawn way too far from your objective or people, and then you have to run there. And because everybody didn't have sprint or a way to get to where you were trying to go, it made it harder. The maps were sometimes a little bit too big for what they were trying to go for. I personally feel like.
For the record, I have not played Overwatch. I know what it is. I know it's still a big, popular, competitive, class-based game, but I haven't played it, so I don't know. So it's kind of good to hear from your perspective as someone who is familiar with that game.
Okay, so I really liked Overwatch. Overwatch, there was nothing at any point that they came out with, they dropped that threw me off and I didn't want to play the game anymore. It was nothing like that. It was just simply that as time went on, I just fell out of that. I started getting into other games and I kind of never got back to it. This game reignited that passion for that kind of game. in a major way. And I can only tell you, this is obviously my first day playing it. I can only tell you what I've experienced so far, and that's obviously very little in the grand scheme of things. But it is really, it's captivating. Like, you jump into that game and it's just so much fun. I'm always big into games where your longevity is maybe a little bit more, but you have like a longer lifespan in terms of each spawn. And for this game, that's a lot of what Overwatch is as well. I mean, of course, I'm going to say, disclaimer, it depends on the class you're picking, of course. But for the most part, you have a longer lifespan. It's not like you run in, you die, you run in. I mean, that can happen, sure, but for the most part, you have there's ample healing and ways to get around that, work around damage and deflect.
Is there like a healer class where a class can heal people? That's cool. Yeah, I always love that in Battlefield.
It's broken up in the same respect as a lot of these other games where you have support, you have damage dealers, so that's really cool in and of itself. But I think just the way that they blended it all together and made it such a very easy, smooth game. Because another big issue I had with Overwatch as a game was it just felt like everything was so far from each other that a lot of those things didn't really mix well. It seems like in this game, the combination of characters is easier to come by. Like, you can pick characters that really benefit one another without even knowing anything about the game. Whereas in that game, it seemed like you really had to know what you were doing to play certain characters. And I'm sure the difficulty level is there for some of the higher or some of the characters that I haven't unlocked. But so far, it just seems like every match I've been thrown into, it's just a ton of fun. It's easy to get into. It's very user-friendly. Cool customization options, really dope skins. They have a battle pass that they offer as well. So for me, man, this is a game. I know I kind of went off on a tangent here, but that's a game, dude. It's really caught me.
Well, that'll be kind of cool to see. So I downloaded it, and I actually downloaded it on my girlfriend's Xbox. So we're going to, actually my brother's probably going to end up playing it with me, but I'll probably try it either later today or obviously in the next week. So maybe a week from now, we'll, revisit talking about this game and see where we're at in a week,
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Because this is a game I think that's definitely worth the conversation.
And it's free to play. So it's not like you even have to pay any money to try it out, just download it,
Yeah, that's nice. That was probably the biggest thing that I didn't even bother to bring up, but that's huge, man. Any game that's going to be free to play, like even Fortnite, I mean, sure, is it awesome to buy skins and buy the battle pass and kind of be more involved? Sure. But if you're not into that and you want to play it more just, casually, or maybe you want to play it seriously, but you don't want to have to make a large investment to do that, that's a game that you can do it with. And this is a game that, like I said, there's not much of a learning curve. It's very similar enough to a lot of the other games that exist already for you to be able to jump in and know kind of what you're doing. But it also offers something different, and that dynamic is having the classes and having those certain abilities per class, and every class is so particular to what it is. And then obviously, like I said, just having everything blend together so well. So, no, it's a really good game, man. And actually, as a matter of fact, we're kind of talking about games. I know we said we'd bring up some gaming news. I was just looking down the feed. So there's a rumor that Diablo 2 Remastered is coming this year. So have you ever played Diablo? I've never played Diablo. I heard great things about it, but never.
So I played Diablo 3. I got some sort of Game of the Year edition or something like that for the Xbox One. I got it years ago, and I definitely played it for a couple of weeks. Good hack and slash, fun co-op. But I'll be honest, I didn't really play it outside of that. What I did play, I had fun with. And again, like me, I'm big on co-op. So if I can play through this with other people, to me, that's a big thing. Like, I love playing with people. And maybe that's part of why I didn't play it longer. Like, I think I only had 2 other people to play it with, and they weren't playing it as often. So I kind of just fell out. But I think you played that game with me. What is it? Gauntlet?
Yeah.
Was it Gauntlet back? So it's kind of similar to that in some ways. So like those kind of games to me are fun. So, I mean, I never played Diablo 1 or 2, so I can't say a lot about them doing a new version or a remaster, but I did play Diablo 3, and I did like what I played, but it didn't really hook me per se either.
Well, I think for a lot of the fans for the Diablo series, that's something to look forward to, just having a classic remastered. That's always a fun thing.
Yeah, and I know that game was for a PC game back at the time, everybody was talking about that for a long time.
Yeah.
I think they made did they make PlayStation and N64 versions for it too? I don't remember.
Possibly. I think
They
so.
might have.
Yeah, I think so. Well, here's another cool thing I found. So apparently Microsoft came out and said that they're going to have, well, I'll kind of read off some of the article here. It says the video game and software giant held a digital event May 7th to show off games made by its partners, including the latest installments of EA hit sports franchise Madden 21, the Sega drama Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Ubisoft's historical fiction game Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which I'm very excited for. It looks very good.
Yeah.
That's another example of a game that I fell off of, but I did have a lot of fun while I played it, and I think would be interesting to kind of hop back into, especially with the kind of graphics that they're going to be offering and the new engine. I can only imagine what they're able to do. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But so further in the article, it says Microsoft said it's going to have another event in July when it's expected to show off Halo Infinite, a new entry in the company's hit space war saga. It'll also provide a peek at games made by development studios that Microsoft owns. So that could be so cool. I've heard so many rumors about what we're to expect in this new Halo. Yet again, another game that I loved Halo growing up, man. Halo 2 was my shit, but I really haven't gotten into the past couple of installments, and not really for any reason in particular, as just as much as I felt there was other games that I'd rather devote the time to or kind of carve out for. But I know you're a fucking massive Halo fan. You've been following the games from day one. What are you thinking? Like, well, as far as like expectations, right? So what do you think is going to happen? Also, I'd like to hear what do you want to see different? What do you think they've done wrong and something that they kind of need to like steer away from now moving forward?
Yeah, so I want to touch quick on that Xbox event. I didn't watch it. I know there were some Instagamers that I follow, and they were talking about it, and they were disappointed, I guess, because it was supposed to be like a gameplay event, and it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of gameplay. So I think people were kind of upset with that event. But the other thing you need to realize is, like, this is not E3. They're not showing us Halo yet. Like, this is not all they have to offer. So I think the people getting upset and kind of freaking out about that gameplay, quote unquote gameplay event, I guess it really wasn't. Again, I didn't really see it. Being disappointed, I think everybody should kind of just calm down a little bit. Like, we're going to get more of a taste for real gameplay. We're going to see more as time goes on. This was not Xbox's E3. This was not their Gamescom. This was not as big of a deal. But with that said, for Halo, I've always been a massive Halo fan. I loved Halo 1, 2, 3. I loved Halo Reach. I thought was great. Halo 4 was, I think I liked it more than a lot of people, but I definitely didn't think it was as good as Bungie's Halo. I think Bungie did such a great job with all their Halo games. I think you might be able to argue they got a little stagnant towards the end.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I don't think I don't think the company, or maybe that's totally biased, sure, but I don't think that they were moving the game in any type. I felt
you weren't feeling that jump like you felt with 2. Like, even the Halo 3, like, don't get me wrong, I love that game, and I mean everything from the Forge mode that they put in to the awesome replay where you could like go back and take screenshots and replay a game and rewatch it back, and good cool customization with the multiplayer. But I feel like that jump from Halo 1 to 2 is like what is always in everyone's mind, and like you can't replicate that. Like, at that time, there was nothing like that. Like Halo, like everybody talks about Call of Duty and all these other games. It's like, dude, Halo 2 is what kind of solidified the multiplayer experience for every other multiplayer game that we see today. Like, everybody talks about Modern Warfare, the first one. It's like, dude, Halo 2, that's where all the foundation was put, at least for console. PC, that stuff existed for a while, with different games. So I'm going to kind of exclude PC from this discussion. But when it comes to a console, home consoles and multiplayer, Halo 2 is what set the foundation for everybody. And that's where everybody wanted to hop on with their friends and start a clan and, try to get to the highest level. And like, that game just did it so well. So I think with Halo 3, it was kind of hard to replicate that. Halo 4, now you have a totally new game studio that had to, build the game. They had some people from Bungie that stayed over to work on Halo that I think are still there. But at 343 Industries is what it's called. I think that's the name of the developer. Mm-hmm. But and Halo 5, so let's move on to Halo 5. Halo 4 I thought was good. I don't think it was amazing, but it's like they were kind of getting their feet wet. So I'm kind of okay with that. Halo 5, so I'm like on a two-part with Halo 5. So the story, the first half of that game, I loved. And the second half of that game, I hated, throw it in the garbage, worst Halo campaign I've ever played, bar none.
So why?
So
I didn't play Halo 5's campaign.
so Halo 5 started off really good. Even story-wise, I thought it was cool. Like Master Chief is kind of reunited with some of his Spartan, team that he thought they were dead, and now they're being hunted by Agent Locke. So now there's this other Spartan group that's going after Master Chief because he didn't follow orders. So now you're playing. So like in Halo 2, how you played as Master Chief and the Arbiter, and you kind of had these two different stories. That's kind of what they tried to do with Halo 5, in that you're playing as Locke hunting down Master Chief. And that's kind of what they did with the game. But I don't want to give away any spoilers, but there's pretty much a direction that they took in making the new enemy and making the new villain in Halo 5 that I absolutely hated. And it not only just from a story point of view, it kind of ruined it for me, but then they started recycling bosses, and just, I feel like the second half of that game, I don't know if like maybe their development schedule, like the window was too tight and they didn't have as much time as they wanted, and they kind of rushed the second half of the game. I don't know what it was, but that was the worst campaign for Halo I've played. I was not happy with the story decisions that they made. Again, I won't get into spoilers, but here's what I will say. The multiplayer I thought was freaking amazing. I thought the multiplayer was so good. I thought the gameplay was better than it's ever been in Halo. I mean, they introduced little things like what they were calling clambering. So that's pretty much you just running up to a little piece of cover or a raised piece of ground that normally in Halo you would always just hit A, and now you're hopping kind of this big jump up into the air. Now you can just kind of climb over it super quickly. And what they did was they kind of got this perfect blend of, like, you would either clamber over something or you try to jump over something, and the gameplay just felt so intuitive. Like, it felt like I'm a Spartan, I'm moving at this hyper speed, not hyper speed, but I'm moving faster than a normal soldier. I'm powerful. I have weight to me. I have gravity to me, but I can get over this stuff when I want to. I can climb up onto this ledge real quick. What they also did was they added in these little boosts. So you can kind of boost to the left or boost to the right or boost backwards really quick on the fly. I forget what button it was, but those two little touches, man, added so much to Halo, and that Halo still felt like Halo, that beautiful, amazing gameplay that we all love that just feels so natural. And they added in these two little things for movement that just made it feel so good. And, like, at least in my opinion, I don't know if this is like debated out there if people don't like those two things that they added in, but I love it. I mean, I thought the clambering and the little boost to be able to kind of dodge things really quickly felt so good. I thought the weapons were pretty good. I mean, obviously, our battle rifles, our SMGs, our Halo pistols, like, we all still love those classic weapons. Some of the newer weapons are definitely not as nice, but man, you hop into that game, and I just felt like the gameplay itself was so good. They had a mode where it was kind of a cooperative versus mode. I think it was called Warzone. Correct me if I'm wrong. In the comments, correct me if I'm wrong if you're watching this. I think it was called Warzone. It was kind of like you would play and fight bots on the map, but you kind of also verse people. And that mode was okay. I think they kind of just hyped that mode up, and they put too much, importance on that mode, where they should have just let the multiplayer shine. But what I will say is story, thought was bad. Didn't really like the campaign. Multiplayer was great, and the gameplay, like, that's what I want to stress the most, is I thought the gameplay was so damn good. So I really liked Halo 5's multiplayer. Going forward with Halo Infinite, now I feel like they've had more time to work on the game. They didn't just put it out. They didn't just put out another sequel. I feel like they kind of have learned and gotten so much feedback from the fans that I hope they take all of that into account. We're hearing rumors of this being an open world Halo. So that could be a really good thing or a really bad thing. I mean, who really knows?
It depends on execution 100%.
It depends on how they do it. If they do it in kind of like a God of War way, where in God of War, you're kind of in this main world and you kind of offshoot to these other spots. And Gears of War 5 kind of tried to do this in a little bit of way. Like, you have different areas, like different sections of the game, but in those sections, they kind of let you pick where you want to go. I feel like to get that right is going to be risky. It's going to be tough, but I hope they can do it right if it is an open world game. So I'm definitely skeptical, but excited and hoping that they can pull that off well. Okay. And the other thing that we're hearing about rumors is potentially a battle royale Halo. So that's super interesting. And again, that could be something that's amazing or awful. I mean, it really depends on how they handle it.
Oh, well,
What do you
so
What
I
do
think
you
with
know
the,
about?
well, I was gonna say, so I think with the battle royale, at least in terms of that, I think the deviation from other battle royales could, like you said, be the saving grace or their fall from grace kind of thing. Um, I, I think it could be really cool because obviously it's a concept that everybody responds well to generally. People love battle royales across the board. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. There's a huge following for everything. Um, and of course, having Halo is such a classic game, and then throwing in what I guess you'd kind of consider a new feature like a battle royale. I mean, that really has popped off within the last couple of years, really.
Yeah,
Um,
it's kind of new when you think about it in that
it's
aspect.
a
It's a
newer
little newer.
concept in relativity, right? Like, I mean, in
Yeah,
terms of like the gaming industry as a whole and kind of seeing it through its progression, its evolution. This is something within the past couple of years that kind of came to life. Um, but so I think Halo could really capitalize on that a lot. I think it is going to be very dependent on their execution and how much they choose to deviate from other battle royales and how they kind of put that together. One thing I think will be good for them, because Halo, and I think a lot of people, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't talk to enough of the Halo fan base to really know this. So I'm going to kind of go off a whim here, but I'm going to say that I think most people, when you talk to them about Halo, don't a lot of times bring up the maps. And for me, that was a huge thing. In
oh
Halo 2, there
yeah.
was so many good maps.
Mm.
And that really helped create the experience, and then of course you can say that for every game, but I think especially with Halo, and I think that because it's not something that's typically brought up, I feel like in gaming, the most I hear about that is through Call of Duty, because with a lot of these maps that are coming back from previous installments, obviously people are
Yeah.
it's drawing a lot of attention, whether that be Rust or Shipment or whatever. But with Halo, they did such a good job with a lot of the maps, and so I think if they could have a way to include more than just one map for the battle royale, which is something that PUBG offers, and I'm waiting for Call of Duty to offer. I think that's a huge feature that a lot of people don't do. In terms of the battle royale, obviously they make changes to the map, but having just a whole new experience and being able to kind of choose, I think
Mm.
that could be really good for them. If they do choose to go down that route, which I could definitely see happening, and I hope that they do. As far as the campaign goes, like I said, I mean, I didn't play too much of the past couple Halo 4 and Halo 5. I really did kind of stop on Halo 3. That's really, I mean, I'd played them, but I didn't Halo 4 and Halo 5, but I didn't really get into them. It was very limited amount of playtime. Um, the last Halo I really liked was ODST. so
Mm. Well, they had the firefight mode that was a blast. That was the first game they had firefight, which
yeah,
was awesome. I don't know if you, but I love firefight. They're kind
uh,
of the ones who kicked off that zombie mode type of thing, or horde mode from Gears of War. Like I think that was one of the first. I can't remember when it came out, but it was definitely one of the first.
yeah, and I love having modes like that. So ODST was a really good one, but so that's kind of like where I stopped. But what I've experienced with the Halo storyline, through 1, 2, and 3, and a little bit of 5. I think I did the first maybe couple of missions, but I stopped there. Um, but what I think would be important for them is, and it kind of the same thing with the battle royale, but in a different sense, that they have to really deviate from what they've done in a natural way, right? So they have to be able to continue the natural progression of the story and make things sensible, but also offer something that could really liven the experience. Because what I felt, and I think this is part of the reason why I kind of fell off, was that I felt like a lot of elements of the game became stagnant and that they were almost recycled. It was kind of the same thing over and over again. Now I
Yeah.
think this is a hot button for a lot of the gaming community as a whole. When you talk about any game, any franchise, a huge thing is them offering new, but new in a good fashion. Because a lot of times they do something that's too much out of their reach, something that's just not like what they've already offered, and people don't like it, or they don't do enough of it and people say it's the same thing. And that's kind of where I've fallen into. Um, that's how you'd classify me as a fan of the series, is I feel a lot of those things were stagnant and that they didn't make enough changes. I think now moving forward, if you can offer, kind of like you said, just small little tweaks and mechanic changes, and offer some new things into the gameplay as a whole, introducing new cool enemies, not something old, something where you already used to. I think those could be big things for them. So I'm definitely excited for that. Now I'd say as a whole though, I'm definitely gonna lean more towards the multiplayer, as that's been really my main focus with all the Halo games. A lot of multiplayer games in general, Call of Duty, Halo. Usually, I don't do too much with the campaign. Although I will say Halo's done a much better job, I believe, as a franchise as a whole with the story. Um,
I would definitely say, I would say this latest Call of Duty Modern Warfare had a solid campaign. That was the
that's
first
true.
solid Call of Duty campaign. World War II, actually, World War II was okay. It wasn't bad. But I do think I will give credit to Infinity Ward. They did a great job with the campaign in Modern Warfare, this new
I just
game.
mean like more as like a whole, like
Yeah.
as a series. I think Halo has just been very
Yeah.
consistent with the not maybe as consistent as I would have liked to see, but I think as a whole they've catered to the fans and
Some
they've
swings and misses there, with
yeah.
Halo.
Um,
But one thing I do want to say when it comes to the new game, I think what they have to do is they have to do enough new, and what they also need to do is kind of pioneer. Like I think Halo was known as kind of pioneering multiplayer, having new things that other people would copy. You know what I mean? And lately, the last couple games, 4 and 5, I would say that they were kind of they were either keeping up or they weren't doing quite enough to differentiate themselves and really do something totally new. And I think that was a big part of the problem with Halo 5. The other thing with this new game is that they need to get that PC. As much as I'm a console gamer and I play console a lot, if you really look at it, man, your biggest multiplayer games, they have the streamers behind them.
yeah.
They have the Dr. Disrespects, they have the Ninjas, the Nick Mercs, the Tim the Tatmans. If you want to get a game to have staying power multiplayer, you gotta have these streamers into the game. So it has to be this perfect blend of competitive, fun, good gameplay, good gunplay, good maps, you got to do enough to keep these guys hooked to play your game, support your game, and now everybody's kind of going to follow and stick with these guys. Now I'm not going to say they have all the power in the world, but my thing with the new Halo, and this is probably why. I mean, if anybody listened to our other videos, we were talking about the Xbox and PC, and now all these games are coming out on PC and Xbox simultaneously. So you have some people that love consoles, they're going to just get the new Xbox, and you have people like me who are kind of on the fence because I want a PC game. Because there's exclusive experiences there. There's the keyboard and the mouse, and now all these games that used to be exclusive, like Gears of War and Halo and different games like that I can only get on Xbox. Now I can get them on the PC, and I feel like for me, I was kind of in between. I don't know what I'm going to get, but here's the thing: now with all those games coming out on PC, the streamers can play those games. The streamers, because they're not going to bother wanting to hook up their Xboxes and PlayStations. Let's be honest, they may do it once in a while, but really they're playing on PC. So with these games coming out the gate, like Halo Infinite is coming out day one on the PC, if you could keep those guys happy and really deliver a really good core multiplayer game, I feel like, we need to have classic Halo multiplayer, new maps, new things. It doesn't have to be all classic, but what I mean is, aside from Battle Royale, we need that Halo multiplayer fun. We need that back, and it needs to be freaking a slam dunk. It needs to be done so well. And then, in my opinion, I think as a counterpart, Warzone should almost be its own thing. Like, yeah, maybe it's part of Halo. Not Warzone. Yeah, the Battle Royale, the Halo Infinite Battle Royale, whatever it's going to be. That needs to be almost a separate thing. And the other thing I would say is I hope that it's not pulling away from that core Halo Infinite experience between the story and the multiplayer. I think that needs to be their biggest focus on delivering on that. And I think this Battle Royale should be secondary. I guess we'll see what they do. I guess we'll see where it goes, but I think that's what they need to deliver on. That core multiplayer experience needs to be solid. It needs to be really good.
I agree, man, and that's kind of what I was saying before. I think that they do such a good job with a lot of the multiplayer and a lot of, like, whether it's the maps, the guns, just the gameplay. I think they do a good job with that. But like you said, just introducing enough to keep things fresh. That looks really good, man. Yeah, now you're really making me. I'm gonna have to, after the stream, I'm just gonna have to go pick up some beer or something.
I haven't had this one, so this is gonna be interesting. Let's see.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to a lot of this. So actually, while we're talking about new stuff, I had also another thing I wanted to kind of bring up while we're here. So Nintendo, now they always hold an annual live stream. That's been since 2013. They do it in June. They haven't announced a date for this year's event. So I'm kind of reading this off of an
Are you
article.
talking about Nintendo Direct? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So normally it's in June, but they haven't talked about it yet. No one's come out and said anything as far as when they're going to do it. It's saying that it might be delayed until after early June, and then Nintendo actually declined to comment on that. So I don't know if they're holding out. I think obviously with the slow of movement in the whole pandemic, I can definitely see why they'd want to hold off. So I think it's a half-half. So I think part of it is going to be. I know I say that with a lot of things, but I can always kind of see the good and the bad in this. And I'd say the bad in this is that people are obviously looking forward to it. And I think the longer you put people on hold, the more anxious they become and the more that they want to know. As far as the good side of it, I'd say that gives them ample time to really put things together the right way. So I think that with a lot of the Nintendo Directs that I've seen in the past for games that I was looking forward to, whether that be Pokemon or Smash Bros or whatever, a lot of times I feel like they didn't deliver the kind of content I was looking for, or it was almost ambiguous. It was almost open-ended, which I guess is maybe their directive. They want to do that, and that they want to kind of leave it open for interpretation. But I think as a core gamer for a lot of those series, I look forward to knowing that certain things are going to be offered in the game, or that they're going to show part of this experience, part of that I really look forward to. And I think sometimes they miss that opportunity, or maybe it's.
I mean, I'll be honest. I haven't watched all of them. I've definitely seen parts of them. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost seems like they spend too much time on like let's say they're showing off Animal Crossing. Like they'll spend 20 minutes showing like one of the little people talking to one of the little animals. Like cut that 20 minutes of that nonsense out and like show us stuff we want to see. I feel like Nintendo Directs are kind of a little bit too, and I don't know if that's because they have investors watching, or they have like corporate, the corporate world is watching and they want to, sell this particular story to them in a particular way. But yeah, I think they're a little lacking, and they could cut off some of the fat.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. I think that they sometimes whenever talking about how they get into games, sometimes what they'll do is they'll talk about a certain feature in the game for the entirety of the stream, or like in the entirety of that portion for that game. So that for me is that's a letdown, because I feel like I said, there's just certain. I want to kind of get the scope of the game as a whole. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll retouch on it in future directs, and they'll kind of come back to it and they'll discuss more things. But I think, through the starting gate, they should really try to focus on delivering the game as a whole. And like you said, there could be some ulterior motive there, in that they're trying to market or pitch certain things a certain way, and maybe there's a bigger plan behind it. I just feel like as a gamer, as like I said, a core fan, for a lot of times that I've watched it, I am let down because I feel like I'm not seeing the kind of content I'm actually looking forward to seeing. But I think this time around, being that they are on a delay, I think that there's a huge opportunity for them to really make things as perfect as they can be in terms of the presentation, in terms of actually pitching the games. Unless they are following that agenda and that they have certain things they really just want to market, and then they're kind of cut it off there and whatever. I would like to see them really, as you said, just trim the fat, really get down to the nitty gritty of what the game's about, kind of just a good overview of what's to be expected. Because they're obviously, Nintendo's always got a lot up their sleeve. They always have really cool titles coming out. I'd love to hear something about Metroid Prime 4. We haven't heard anything about that. That was rumored to be released years ago. Nothing ever came of it. So I think this would be a really...
Literally, they would just need that one game, and they would, people would be, all the gaming websites, gaming YouTubers, Instagram, everyone would be talking about that for so long. They would, and dude, if you throw that bone to these, hardcore gamers, they're going to be so fucking pleased. But
well, I was going to say this, I'm sorry, but like I was going to say, like, just even a little bit, like I said, just even a little insight to the game. It doesn't even have to be anything grand. You just drop a trailer at least. Because
how amazing would it be if they brought, the new Metroid. Okay, we already know they're working on the new Zelda. We got a trailer last year for, I don't know if it's Breath of the Wild 2 or what it is.
It's Breath of the Wild 2, yeah.
Yeah, so you have that, and then a new Mario game, because we had, Mario, what was the last one called? I'm totally brain farting.
Odyssey, Super Mario.
Odyssey. So we had Odyssey. I'm guaranteed they're working on that, dude. Imagine just throw those 3 games off. People are gonna lose their minds.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose their minds, dude.
So that's what I'm saying. I think that this is that window for them to do that. I think that they can actually really, because they have so much time dedicated to making this happen, and because they haven't commented, they haven't set anything in stone. It's like you have almost all the time in the world to work with. Now, obviously, I had said before, I think the other side of that coin would be that you're going to have people so eager to see it, and that if you kind of don't put anything in motion or you don't really talk about it, people I think will be very displeased. But as a whole, I think it does give them the time that they need to do things like you said, just having main party titles that they can just throw in and just even very briefly talk about or show a trailer for. That's going to get people hyped. That's going to get people on that bandwagon. I think this would be good for Nintendo for sure.
Dude, know what I would love to see? So think about it, man. We were just talking in the last video about our top N64 games, 2 of them being, well, for you, Zelda Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. And what did those games have in similarities? In that they were the same engine. And you're kind of the same Link in a weird way. You know what I mean? Like, they're totally different games. But, dude, think about Zelda since then. We went to Wind Waker. Then we went to Twilight Princess. Then we went to, Skyward Sword? And so after that, they're all single games with a different characters. It's kind of like a new Link every game. So you had that Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, and then now Breath of the Wild. But now we're getting Breath of the Wild 2, which is kind of like back when we had Ocarina of Time go to Majora's Mask, where it's kind of it's the same Link. Yeah. So that's kind of a cool thing to see, because we haven't had that in a Zelda game. We haven't had the same universe and the same Link explored in 2 games, because they're kind of always moving on and doing a new one every single game. So I think it'll be really cool to see, do we get a cool, I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything like Majora's Mask. I mean, obviously it is. If it is Breath of the Wild 2, it's probably going to be kind of following in those footsteps, but it would be cool to see them explore that universe and this Link and this Ganon and all of that, explore that more. I think that's cool to see, because we haven't had that in Zelda for almost 20 years now.
Yeah. So well, I guess my last question would be regarding Zelda. Do you think that they're going to do what they did when they originally teased Breath of the Wild, and that they're going to wait for the next generation of console to come out? Now, obviously, we know Xbox has been hyping up their new console, and so is PlayStation. There's a lot to be seen, but now with Nintendo, they haven't talked about that at all, and I think the Switch still has just so much staying power because it's so versatile in terms of system capabilities. Do you think that they're going to wait, or do you think this is something, like you said, they're going to drop on the same engine with same system? Like, what do you think?
I mean, did you see the trailer? So there was a trailer last year for it, and it definitely looks like same engine. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't look better. It looks friggin' amazing. I love it. I don't want
that graphic style was perfect for the Switch.
But I mean, I think it's pretty obvious this is going to be a Switch game. It's not going to be a next-gen game, and I think Nintendo is in such a great spot right now where they are pleasing the hardcore and they are pleasing the casuals, whereas Nintendo was kind of in this weird spot with the GameCube. It kind of pleased the hardcore, not so much the casual. They always have that kind of kid-friendly element that Nintendo is always going to have. I hope they always have it. That's part of why I love them. But then when they went from the GameCube to the Wii, they went too far with casual, in my opinion. Like, the Wii was probably my least favorite.
No, I agree 100%. It became too, like, party game-ish. It was nothing like really
Wii Sports, and even just, let's say, the controls, man. I mean, it was cool to have motion controls. Don't get me wrong. We all played Wii Sports and had a blast. We all played different,
for the first hour. And then
it got old real quick. Every nursing home bought this thing. Like, it was on Oprah. It's on, the Good Morning shows. Like, everybody fell in love with the Wii, but to me, as a Nintendo hardcore Nintendo fan, to me the Wii was kind of like the least compelling system. Like, what did you have on that? You had Mario Galaxy, which people loved, and don't get me wrong, that game is great. But that's probably like the only like amazing like hardcore memorable experience I could think of. Like, even Twilight Princess, that was on. Wait, that wasn't on. That was on. Was it on GameCube too? I almost want to say it was.
Twilight was on Wii. Twilight was really good. I think they
didn't it release on 2 systems.
So Skyward.
I gotta look this up.
Skyward Sword came out for the Wii.
Yeah, but I want to say Twilight Princess was kind of like a carryover game. Like, it wasn't built from the ground up for the Wii.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm
Actually,
gonna look this up because I feel like I'm remembering that, and I feel like you could tell when you played the game. But
Mm.
maybe I'm freaking crazy. Yeah, it was on the GameCube as well. So this was a GameCube game that was pretty much carried over with, and then they threw in motion controls on it. But like, don't get me wrong, Twilight Princess was a good game, but I'm gonna be honest, I never even beat it. That's like the only Zelda game that I started and I never beat.
Um, that was no. I will say I think, in my maybe unpopular opinion, think that they've just been very consistent with the console titles for Zelda. I can't say the same for the handheld. I think the handheld was kind of crap.
Yeah, it was on the GameCube and the Nintendo Wii, and I remember that it was being developed for the GameCube forever, and then it was kind of that crossover where GameCube was still around, but the Wii was new, and they kind of threw it in there. But I'm not trying to hate on and rag on the Wii, but I just feel like it was weak. And then Wii U, I feel like they were kind of confused trying to figure out what they were doing. But I feel like the Nintendo Switch, they're in this great place where hardcore gamers and casual gamers are happy. I could rip this thing off my dock and go take it on the go and play it on the bus or, at a cafe or whatever. And I just feel like they're in this great spot. I feel like this thing's going to be around. I feel like I just saw an article recently where they said they're going to keep the Switch going until 2023. Now, that doesn't mean they may not release a new system before that, because I mean, obviously you still support your system for usually a year or two after you have the new console.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any of these major titles are going to be on their newest system. I think they're going to be on the Switch.
I think that'd be good for them because I think that would be like the dying light of the console, because usually that's just the way it is. Over time, new console comes out, usually it's just a better version of what was already offered. And so for a majority of reason, you're going to go to the new console and you're going to more or less scrap the last one. You're going to put it in the shelf and you're probably not going to touch it unless you have a reason to, which most people don't. Now, I think that would be good for them because that would really help, yet again, create ample time. If you drop main titles on the console, let's say in the last 2 or 3 years of its life, that gives it a longer lifespan naturally, just because it'll take time for people to come around and buy the games. I mean, naturally, yes, when the game first drops, there's going to be a horde of people going to get it, but it's also over time, it's still going to accumulate sales because it's a good game. And then after more and more reviews are made and there's enough time for people to review the game, people are going to see what the game is worth. And I'd say for the most part, with a lot of their first party titles, that usually works to their benefit and helps sales have a huge longevity. So I think that would be great for them, man. I'd be really happy to see those games on the Switch to begin with, because I'm a huge fan of the Switch. I really like it. I think they had like you said, I think they put themselves in the right spot. They poised themselves moving forward into the later years, even with a lot of the competition in the console game. Now, I just kind of as a closing thought, I know we had kind of talked about that with and you touched on it a little bit today with the new gen consoles coming out, and I figured this would be relevant enough with gaming news. I kind of want to see your thoughts. Has anything changed with your decision, right? So you had said that you did want to get Xbox, but now that they're not offering exclusives or they're trying to steer away from that, a lot of that incentive is gone. Are you incentivized now to buy the PS4 or PS5, or what are you kind of in between?
Well, here's what I'll say. So I used to be in a place where I would attempt, I wouldn't always, but I would kind of buy everything, and I would buy it usually within the first year or two of the systems. This was the first generation where I didn't really do that. I kind of bought I bought the Xbox One. I got the day one edition, actually. So even with, I don't know if you remember at the time, but the Xbox One, when it first came out, it literally got an incredible, insane amount of hate. That's Lena in the background. Shout out to her.
Hi, Lena.
She always says hi. So I bought that day one. There was games I wanted to play. I bought it. And then I was kind of like, I think I'm going to get a PS4, but I'm just going to hold off a little bit, kind of see. And then as time went on, I saw all these great games coming out for the PS4. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of just was in this place where I have less time. I'm working. I have a girlfriend. I have just things in my life going on. So I don't have as much time as I used to. So I don't think it makes sense for me to buy everything. So I kind of, for years and years, literally up until Black Friday of last year, 2019, I finally picked up a PS4, and I felt like I was in this great place. Like, I'm buying this thing. I'm getting God of War. I'm getting Horizon Zero Dawn. It also came with The Last of Us remaster, which I don't even know if I'll play. We'll see. But there's so many great games on the PS4. I mean, there's Spider-Man. There's Detroit Becoming Human. I don't know. Some people don't like that game, but I think it looks great. I want to play that game. But there's just so many, the Uncharted games that people love. There's just so many great exclusives, and they're not even expensive anymore because they've been out for so long. So me, honestly, being a late adopter for kind of the first times, since I was a kid, I think has really paid off. And I'm happy that I bought the system at a lower price and I just have all these great games that I can play that aren't even expensive. So I think being a late adopter is kind of something that interests me now. So going forward with like the PS5 coming out, like if you're a PlayStation guy, you're going to get the PlayStation. It makes sense. You're not having Last of Us. You're not having all these games come out on PC. Like we spoke about in our other video, if you're an Xbox guy, you're kind of in this weird spot where you're like, okay, I can get all of these experiences on the PC. So if I've been thinking about getting a PC, maybe I'll just do that and not get an Xbox. I would say I'm still in this spot where I don't know if I'm going to get the console. I do know my buddy Nick, actually, shout out to him. He's building a new PC and he's going to give me most of his old stuff. So I'm just going to have to buy some RAM, a hard drive, and I got to buy a computer case as well to put everything in it. But I'm going to be getting a PC at some point in the next few months probably. So I will actually be doing some PC gaming on that. So we'll see. Like if I'm happy with that, I don't know if, like, let's say Halo Infinite, I don't even know if I'd be able to run it on that without maybe doing some serious upgrades. I guess we would see. But I'm definitely going to be in a spot where I don't know. I just got to see as I go. But I can say I'm probably not getting the PS5. Xbox Series X, I'm kind of in between. I don't really know. I guess we'll see as we get closer. When we're probably a couple months out, I'll probably have a good read of what I'm going to do when it comes to, am I going to pick it up or not?
Okay, yeah, because I mean, I had said that I was originally I was just gonna just definitely buy the Xbox, and that I had a reason to, and not to say that I don't have a reason to now. It's just that I think the past couple of days and just kind of thinking about it now, I was able to go to the PlayStation Store, and I didn't even really touch on that. That's kind of how I got into Paladins, but there's a lot of really cool free to play games, stuff that's really easy to get into. One of the games being developed and produced by Epic. That's Dauntless, and Dauntless is a Monster Hunter type game, class specific.
Are these exclusive games or are these on everything?
Okay, so for the most part, I think all these games are PC and PS4, and then I know
Paladins I know is on everything, but I don't know. I guess we can look it up. Keep talking. I'll look it up and we'll see. What was it called? Dauntless?
Dauntless, yeah. So but there's a couple. What I was getting at was that the because there's so many cool free to play games, and it was easy to just throw some stuff on my system and kind of just mess around when I wasn't on Xbox or streaming. I thought it really opened my eyes to the PS4 as a whole, and I haven't really given the system much love in comparison of what I've done with the Xbox. Just being that most of my friends and family play on Xbox, so that's usually where I'm at. And obviously, I've been a huge Xbox fan since day one. I've talked about that a lot. But now being able to play the PS4 a decent amount more than I really ever was, I'm really starting to like it a lot more. And I think I'm gravitating towards maybe considering going the opposite route and just buying the PS5 and maybe not doing the Xbox. And then just if I wanted to play a lot of those Xbox games, maybe just getting into PC gaming. I mean, it's a thought that's kind of rumbled around in my head for a while. There's a good reason to, beyond just the graphics and the engine. With every game now really supporting cross-platform or a lot of the major series, it's a real easy choice in going to PC because they have every title, and that now a lot of the exclusives are only really going to be on PS or PS5 moving forward. So for me, the only reason I would have to buy a PS5 would be for the exclusives, and because I'm already enjoying the experience so much, I think those kind of go hand in hand in solidifying my choice. Although obviously we're not there, and you said it. There's going to be enough time where we can still kind of go over things, and I might still just buy the Xbox X Series, but I think I have to see more from both systems. But I'm definitely right now leaning more towards PlayStation, just because, like you said, you have really great exclusives for the console, and that's enough of a reason already for any console to be a good sale. But now, being that Xbox is going to have everything that PC has, but PC is just going to be a better operating system for it. Is there really a reason for me
Well,
to?
I don't know if I would say better out, because let's be honest, man. I mean, a lot of console gamers, the reason you like it is bam, I hit a button, my system's on, I play, I pull up my Xbox guide to play with my friends, I send them an invite, I get them in the party chat, like, or PlayStation, you're doing kind of the same thing, more or less. PC, it's not quite as smooth, I don't think. I mean, it definitely works. You can still do all the same stuff, but I don't think it's quite as smooth and as simple and as easy as a console is. So I feel like if you're a hardcore console person, you're probably going to stick with a hard,
Well,
a
that's
home
where
console.
that's where I want to go. That's why I want to do PS5 because
Yeah.
I'm more like pro console. So
But what I would say is if you're going to get a PlayStation, like we spoke about in the last video and a little bit in this one, is that Sony has those exclusive games, and they're pretty much always single-player games. So if you're into those games,
Yeah.
you can't get them anywhere else. Whereas now with Xbox, you can get them on PC. I mean, I don't know, going forward, maybe in a year or 2 years, Xbox will decide maybe that wasn't the best move, and they'll be like, you know what, we're going to put some of these story, because I know they have a bunch of games they're working on right now. They've gotten some good developers and stuff. So maybe some of those games will only be on this Xbox Series X. Maybe they won't be on PC, and that'll be their way of trying to get you to buy one. But right now, as it stands, if you're interested in PC gaming, you're kind of in this weird spot where why invest in an Xbox and a PC when I can kind of get it all on the PC?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but the one thing I would say to you is if you're going to get a PS5, make sure that you're interested in the exclusives, because like I don't know what you've played on the PlayStation 4 even, but there's so many great exclusive games, but most of them are single player, and I know typically you don't seem like you play a lot of single player. I mean, with Nintendo you do, but at least with PlayStation it doesn't seem like you play a whole lot.
So I don't, but like I said, that kind of goes back to what I was saying before, and that's that most of the time the only reason I don't is because my friends are online and they're playing, and I'm interested in playing those games already, and there's a reason to stream them, and so that's kind of why I don't play as much single player. But it's not that I love single player games.
I would say dude, if you haven't played God of War, go play that game. Like squeeze it in, figure out because that game is amazing. That's one of the best games I've played in the last probably 5 years. That game's, I would say that game is a 10 for me. That's another 10 for me.
Well,
I think it's so good.
So I mean, as a whole, I think it's definitely worth it to kind of wait it out. We'll see kind of what they choose to do. With a lot of the delays, we really don't know what to expect.
That's another part, yeah.
Seriously looking forward to what they're going to do with Halo and kind of see of their plans for a lot of those other first party titles, and also too like how the system's going to look, how it's going to run.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the new PlayStation controller, which honestly, from everything I saw, it looks nice. It looks good. It looks like an improvement. Yeah. And I don't get me wrong. I don't hate on the PlayStation controller. I've always been more of an Xbox controller fan. I just feel like overall the layout, the offset sticks, the triggers always felt nicer to me. Just kind of the way it felt in my hand felt nicer. But this new one definitely feels like it's going in a more of a direction that I like. Now, that doesn't mean that I think it's going to be better, but I love that they're doing something kind of different. Mm-hmm. This is the least DualShock looking PlayStation controller I've ever seen. So, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I mean, just kind of going to have to wait and see, but you have any closing thoughts? Anything you'd like to touch on?
I would just say it'll kind of be cool to play this Paladin game, see how it is, kind of check back in maybe in another video soon, see what we thought about it. But what I'd like to say is if you're watching the video, leave some ideas down in the comments of maybe things you'd like us to talk about. If you want our opinion on anything, that would be kind of cool to get. And any feedback you have. I mean, we're kind of still in this like weird phase where we're trying to figure it out how we're going to film it. I'm going to be getting equipment, a webcam. I'm going to be getting a microphone. So the quality of all these videos will go up in the future. But kind of bear with us, and hopefully you enjoy what you've been seeing so far.
Yeah, thanks guys. Check back in for episode 6. Should be dropping soon. Catch you guys in the next one.